Hey guys, it's lovely to have your company back here on my Crafter's Companion YouTube channel. I hope you are well and I hope you're ready to go for another tutorial. One that's going to be slightly shorter today because I have filmed this tutorial twice previously, and once the volume didn't work and twice it just kept freezing, so I had to ditch those attempts, and now third time lucky. However, as I am filming this, I'm getting ready to hit the road down to Redditch for Hobby Maker's show. So I've got bits that are already pre-cut. We are going to do some cuts, but this is all about our layering flowers. Now the reason I'm doing this one specifically, and that's the Radiant Rose, is I've seen on social a few of you have had a little bit of an issue when it comes to actually layering up the flowers. Now, when it comes to the flowers, usually you think of the layering flower die cuts as like decoupage. So it's like the largest cut, then the next smallest, next smallest, next smallest, next smallest, and then the very top layer is going to be the smallest die cut. Well, it's not the case when it comes to these dies here. It's just about layering the different sizes, different sized flower die cuts to create the most beautiful floral. Gives you that raised feel, it gives you the curve if you curve them, gives you the dimension if you use your glue gel or use your foam pads. It gives you extra shadow and extra depth if you do drop shadows. So there's many ways that you can use these and start to build up the depth of the layering flowers. Now, with one of them in particular being the Radiant Rose, that's where a lot of people have struggled. And I think what you're struggling at is a couple of reasons. One being that there's not a set order in the way that the size die cut layers, but then the other issue a lot of you are having is you've been following the packaging finished example and it's been flipped, and I'll show you what I mean by it's been flipped from whoever's made that sample on the front of the card. Now, I am going to use the bits that I've already die cut and I'll step you through the Radiant Rose, but I thought what we'll do is these actually look really nice when it comes to our foam. And I say they look nice, I've not actually tried it, I'm only assuming as they'll look nice when it comes to the actual craft foam. So before then, for those of you who still continue to subscribe, thank you very much, and give me the thumbs up, much appreciated as well. And when you hit that bell notification, that is really greatly appreciated as well. It all helps when it comes to these tutorials. So when it comes to this die set here, this is what we're going to be making here. Let me just move my pumpkin spice latte out the way here. So this is what we are going to be making. However, I'm going to change it slightly and we're going to be using some of our craft foam. And I thought it worked really well using the Enchanted Rose embossing folder from Sara's Once Upon a Time. Now, the actual encapsulated glass jar or glass casing is a little bit smaller than the actual rose, but as you can see it still works really well, and although you still get some of the embossed detail of the rose from the folder, it still plays to that story and still works an absolute treat. So this is what we're going to go with. However, we are going to be using the foam. Now, I have linked the description and the showstopper from our website into the description, because you do get your linen card pad, the lovely lily, the flourishing foxtrot, blooming hydrangea, elegant one that I can never say, sweet hellebores, pretty poppy, alluring one that I can never say as well, beautiful peony, charming cosmos, delightful daisy, vibrant sunflower, and the Radiant Rose. And that's the one that we're going to be using, and this is the one some of you are getting caught out because it's actually been flipped around. So die cuts, as I said, I have got them all ready die cut, but we're going to jump straight in and I'll bring you all the die cuts into play for us to see, and I'm going to put them in the order of which they layer. So minus these three, because these three are the stem and the leaves and the little bit that goes underneath the petal that I can never ever remember what it's called. It's like something like the calyx or something. So these ones are those three here. So let's move them out the way. Now, when it comes to these dies, let's put them in the order. Now, you would think, usually when it comes to past layering flowers that we've done with the double-sided dies, you would think the next size would be the next one, next size, and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. It's not actually the case for these ones. Now, full transparency, the product development team have been let know that ideally, yes, we should have had a little step-by-step leaflet or something with each of the size pieces and them being numbered for you guys to know. So we have fed that back to the product development team. So the next one is actually the smallest one here. And then the next layer is actually this one. The next layer is actually that one. The next layer is then going to be that one. The next layer is going to be that one. And then the final two, which are kind of encapsulating the base of that rose, those fine little petals that just curve around the base of the rose, is going to be these two here. Now, what do they look like once they're cut? This is what they look like. So I'm just going to start to pop these back as I'm popping them onto my cardstock, and then start to show you how they look. Now, what I have done on that finished example that I showed you a moment ago, I have done a drop shadow for each of these within a darker red cardstock. So let's just finish bringing all these little bits into here and bringing these in there. So this is layer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I have layered it, I've numbered them on the back, and just so happened 7 and 8. These two doesn't matter, it could be that could be 7, that could be 8. The last two doesn't really matter, and you'll see why just shortly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, with the finished example that I've got here, where we've got that extra depth is because I've done a very, very subtle deep red drop shadow on each layer. So what I mean by that is I've cut them again, and I've done just the smallest of deep red drop shadow. And I've done that for all of them, like so. Now, when it comes to these, and we are going to cut them in the foam and assemble them so you can see. I'm just going to move them out the way. Now let's layer them in the way that they've been initially created for. So what we're going to do within this one, so always look at a certain point. So I'm going to look at this little curved point here, which matches that one there. Now I'm doing this in the daylight, so the light isn't amazing, but that matches that point there. So that matches and curves into that section. We're then going to take our third one, which is this one, and that matches into that section there. So where we've got that point, that matches. We're going to take the fourth one, so we're going to pick a point, so it's going to be that point there, which matches that point here, like so. We're then going to take the fifth layer, which is this one, and we've got that curve which matches there, and that top bit also matches. So let's just bring that back in, and then we're going to go in with the sixth layer, which matches that tiny little bit down into here. And then this is what I mean by these smallest petals. These go on last because these are those small little ones that just encapsulates around the bottom. So if I then pop that on there, so we're just going to then lift. Obviously you're going to be sticking them down. I'm just doing this as a visual for you to see. So let's pop that on there. And then wherever that last one's gone, underneath here. So that's how you're going to layer these up. As I say, you're going to be putting glue on each layer. And we will do that just shortly. I'm just want to show you the layers and how they're built. Like so. That's a bit rough, but you'll get the grasp when we actually come and layer it up. So we're going to pop, actually, do you know what? Let's just do it, Craig. Let's just do it. So, before we will do it, what I'm going to show you is how it's been done on the packaging. So, all these layers. So these are all the right way, but what's been done on the packaging is it's been flipped around and it's been done that way. So each layer has been flipped around and it's been built that way. I'll be completely honest with you, I'm not sure why, but I know this is what's throwing a lot of you by reading on social. So we're layering them up in the same way that I've just shown you before. However, the only difference this time is we're flipping it and it's going in the other direction. So let's layer these. I'm not going to do the drop shadow with this one. We're just going to layer them as they are. Just going to take a drink first. And I'm going to keep it flat. You can use your foam pads or your glue gel. Your glue gel, of course, you're in complete control as to the depth. Foam pads, if you are going to use foam pads, I would highly recommend a 1mm foam pad. As much as I love depth, I really wouldn't go to town on the depth of foam pads. So that's our second layer, or technically our first layer. So we're going to go in with our third, and then we're just finding that point and pressing. And then we can then go in with our fourth layer. So each layer, we're just finding a point. There's that one. And then we're going to press. Now, as we start to build up, the middle is going to get thicker and chunkier as there's less layering going on at the side. So we just need to keep that in mind when it comes to arranging the layers. So we're then going to go in with our next one. So this next one is then going to go into here. So what I'm going to do is I'm only going to pop glue within that right hand side, because we've got a few layers here but not on this side, so it's just kind of evening the layers out. So we're going to press that one in, and then we're going to take our sixth one and we're going to do the same, just add in our glue. It's time to get blocked ever so slightly. So it is one of those, some more than others, you do need to just take your time. I would recommend die cut them all, get familiar with the layer, and then just die cut them in white or a colour, and then number them. Stick them on a bit of cardstock and then keep them in the pack that you get the dies with. And that's a good reference for you to go back to. So press that one in. Let me just go in. They're one of those, once you have got to grips with the actual layer configuration and combination, these really are beautiful to get creative with. So we're going to put that one into there. So I'm going to put the glue on this side, because again it's chunkier with layers here but not into here. So I'm going to line up and then press. Sometimes when you look at pictures of flowers or that, you've got those small little petals as if they're just falling off, and you could do that. You could have it just so there's a couple falling down, and that's where they've come in from, those kind of petals that are capsulated round the bottom of the flower. So I'm then going to go in with that one. You do have embossed detail with each of these ones. Press that in, and then you've got your layered rose. Now you could ink around the edges, you can enhance the embossed detail if you want to, or if you do a drop shadow, just elevates it that little bit more. If you don't want to do a drop shadow, just ink with maybe Bordeaux or something, or even a brown, and then that is the depth that you can start to get when it comes to the radiant rose. And then we can just put in the actual stalk itself. So we could put that one into here. We can press that one in, and then we're going to come along with, let's call it the calyx. Not sure if it's right or not. And then that one can go into there, and you've even got that little bit of a space so you know where to align it to the stalk. And then even just when it comes to the leaves, what we're going to do, you can go wherever you want with them. So I put a little bit of glue, and then I'm going to press, let's come down to round about there. You could do a couple and then maybe chop them up and add a few onto the other side. I'm going to pinch that, turn that around, and then there we go. We've got our rose. Simple form, die cut and then layered up. And then if you were to, I've got an embossed one here. If you were to then take your emboss from the embossing folder, once upon a time, sit that into there, pull it down slightly, chop off the base. That's how I've got that one. Now I'm going to use that, but let's do what I said at the start, and let's have a look and see what it looks like with the foam. So I've got our craft foam here. So let's go in with the red, and let's go in with a green. Let's also take our plates here. So let's take some of the red. Now you could be more kind, let's just say, when it comes to your foam. I'm going to do this relatively quickly, so I'm just going to put the dies on, but you can budge them all up a little bit closer so you're not wasting as much. So I'm going to come along here. It's been a while since I've cut the foam, so I'm going to take out my magnetic sheet. Can't remember if the foam needs the magnetic sheet or not, so I'm going to take out to start with. I've got a funny feeling it doesn't, but we'll see. Yeah, no, right enough. So our foam doesn't need the magnetic sheet. It only needs the two plates and the frosted shim. So that's these ones. We'll do the stalks and that in a moment. But what I am going to do is let's take, I want to enhance the emboss a little bit more within this foam if it's possible. So we've got embossed detail towards the top, So I don't know if this is going to work well, but I'm just going to take a ball tool and I'm just going to push through and see if that's going to help. It doesn't make much of a difference. Just want to see, because I don't want it to press and squash too much. You get a little bit with the actual cut. So let's stick these ones back, and then we'll do the stalks as well as the leaves. And for anyone that's relatively new to a YouTube channel or to myself, I keep all dies in their original packaging. I never take them out and put them into folders or binders or magnetic panels or anything like that. I keep them all in their original packaging. So I know where they've come from, I know the name, I know the collection that they've come from, I know it all. Hence why I keep them in their original packaging. Sometimes the dies will start to fall off the back end with that stick starting to unstick. Either just let it, or what I'll do is put more tape onto the acetate back and re-stick them. But you'll maybe notice as well, I don't chop the top off, I just open it up so I can reseal it. Sometimes these are a little bit too sticky and I have to tear the top, but I always, where possible, keep that hinge on the top. So let's pop these ones on, and then we can start to see what this looks like once we have assembled it. And you could also do drop shadows with these if you've got a darker colour foam, or even onto the back of darker cardstock. You could absolutely do that, mix and match foam and card. Or you can still ink the edges. So that's us now. Got all our layers cut, but in foam. So layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, we've then got layer 5, layer 6, and then layer 7, and then layer 8. So we've got all of these layers, plus we've got our leaves, our stalk, and for argument's sake, let's call it the calyx. So this is where, if you did want to still do the drop shadow, do you know something? I know I said this was going to be a shorter video, but how many times have I said that and it's not actually been the case? Let's do the drop shadow. So let's do foam onto card. So we're using, obviously I'm using Sticks 2's adhesive. You can use our Collal glue. And with the foam, you'll need to let that go off a little bit longer than just card to card. So if I then take the red, so I'm just treating it as if it's 2 layers of cardstock, but going to lift up and then just do a light drop shadow. So you can see it's very, very subtle, but it's there. And then we can take the next one. So let's move these out the way here. I'm going to keep them in order so I don't forget, although these ones I've kind of got memorised. If you can hear any work out on my road, they're doing road work. So if you hear like a drilling noise, that's exactly what it is. hence why I don't want to open my window too much to get more light in, because it'll be drained out with that sound. So second layer with a drop shadow, and then we can take our third layer and then start to layer these up. So just repeating each step, and I'm already kind of liking the look of the foam and the card together, acting as the drop shadow. So it's going to make it even more tactile, I think. So let's press that in, and then go in with our next layer. So add our glue. I've clearly got something that keeps clogging the nib. I've put my glue on the wrong side. So let's just take that off. And then let me just take a little bit of wire and sort this afterwards. It'd probably be quicker to stop and just sort it now, but I'm not going to do that. Declog what I can. So it's that way. Just be a little bit of dried glue. So press to give me the drop, and then third last, I'm in the right one, yeah, make sure I was round the right way this time. Like so here, layer. And the thing with roses is, you know, you could do pink roses, you could do yellow roses, Valentine's Day, don't know about stateside or elsewhere across the globe, but Valentine's Day, they're able to produce multicoloured roses. So you could do that, you could do multicoloured. So there's lots of ways you can do them. Or just go rogue and be creative. Create your own flower, coloured flower. Who says that you have to go traditional? Hey, if you love the goths and that sort of stuff, or the kiddies love goths, then you can do it in black. Oh, there's an idea. Black rose for Halloween. Oh, I might need to try that when I come back from Hobby Maker. And then last one of the petals. Do that drop shadow. Like so. And then what I'm going to do, now I've already done these one, drop shadow them, but I don't want to waste them. So I'm just going to stick the foam bang over the top of the light green. It's had a drop shadow done, there's a dark green underneath. And I just don't want to waste it. So that I'm not wasting. That can go straight over the top, like so. Even if you've seen a little bit, it wouldn't really matter. Gives it kind of like a triple drop shadow. So let's layer that one. There we go. Last couple. See how much more fight I've got when it comes to this glue. Do the same, I'm going to go right over the green, light green, there we go. And then last but by no means least, should be the last time, I have to clog this onto the stalk. All the way down, and there we go, that's saved a little bit of wastage. I'm sure I would have been able to use them at some point, but hey ho. Nice way now to use it up. So we've got our red foam with the drop shadow of a dark red cardstock, and then we've got green foam with a dark green drop shadow of cardstock. So that's all these. Right, so let's layer them up in a minute. Let's bring in our card. So I've already embossed that layer. So that layer I've cut to 3.5 by 5.5, and I've already embossed it with the Enchanting Rose embossing folder. So I embossed that with the 2 cutting plates and ran it through my Gemini. So if we add my tape all the way around. So this is going to go on, I think I've cut this card blank. I'm sure I want to say 4.5 by 6.5. I'll double check in a moment, but I'm sure it's 4.5 by 6.5. So let's go in here. And the other thing that I've already done using the stamp set from Once Upon a Time is I've stamped out Follow Your Dreams. So the card blank, no, it's 4.25 by 6.25, so it's close, and it's a top fold card that I do love to do the most. So I've given myself a red matting layer. So this red cardstock was done originally to match the red cardstock rose, but it'll still work with the red foam rose. It's just a different tone. What you could have done is the dark red layer could be your matting layer. So let's take that. Let's take that. So we've got our layer to go onto our card blank. And here's me saying I won't need to fight with the glue again. I will, because I need to assemble this. That's going to go onto my card blank. So there's my card blank ready to go. So let's bring in the layers of my rose. And I'm just going to take that nib off just now, so I'm not having to fight with it. So let's go and then layer up. So I'm going to go in quite close without it kind of pixelating the best that I can. So we're going to go into layer 2. And remember what I was saying, how what you're going to do is on each point of the petal layer you're going to pinpoint, so that matches into there. So I'm just going to layer up And don't worry if you have done a drop shadow, because that drop shadow will still layer up as well. But because we're using foam and card, it's going to start to make the layers even chunkier. So just keep that in mind when it comes to layering. For instance, this one here, you can see we're going to overlap there. But if I press it down flat, you're going to go on at an angle. So just keep that in mind. That's going to be fine for this layer. That's not anything to worry about. It's more when we come to these last few layers. And because we're using the foam, as I said before, take into account that you will need to let that dry. So if I was to start wiggling this layer I've just put down, it's also going to start to layer or wiggle the layer at the back. So just keep that one in mind. We're going to press just for a little bit longer than usual. And then we're going to go into our next layer. So this layer here, because we're really starting to get chunky in the middle, I'm only going to put glue down the side. I don't need all of that. Even with foam, remember, the less glue the better. And the foam means that you don't necessarily have to use foam, well, you don't need to use foam pads because you're getting the lift from it. Then the next layer, which is that one, we can see here. So I'm just going to start to add a little bit of glue. Really not playing ball today with the glue, is it? Here we go. And then position into place. I'm going to carefully pick this up, move that into place. So we're really starting to get the dimension of the rose. And then we're going to come to that base one. Add that onto there. And as always, don't worry about your glue because even on the foam that will dry clear. And now this is really where with the petals you only want to put the glue along the base because we've got a lot of thickness there. So if I go in with that one to the side, so I'm going to match it up and then press, and then we're going to take the next one, match it up, and then we're going to press. Really liking the look of this actually. I wasn't sure, I knew it would look nice, I just wasn't sure how it was going to start to come together. So I'm going to do what I can to scrape what glue off I can just now. So if I just start to take that off there. And then I'm going to take some of that glue off there. And then there we go. I've got a very 3D chunky rose when it comes to our craft foam. And then of course we've got the stalk. So let's put that into there. I let that grab. Let's also bring in the calyx, if that's what it's called. And then that can go and layer into there. And then we've got our leaves that we can always come along. So if I start to lift that up, what I'm also going to do is let's put a little bit of glue underneath. Let that grab a little bit. Take some of that glue off. Hold that down. I really do like that rose within the foam. Might not be everyone's taste, but I think it's lovely. A little bit different. Because you're not going to be picking yours up straight away. I'm just doing it so that you can kind of see. I'm going to have to lay that down so that the leaves... You can, of course, use your hot glue gun. Nothing's stopping you using your hot glue gun. But when it comes to the foam, I do prefer tacky glue. Like so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that sit for a few moments. Let's bring our card back in. And then let's also bring that card in. And then we're just going to add some gems. Let's just look. Can't find what I'm looking for. It's a song there, isn't it? Still haven't found what I'm looking for. Oh, pardon me. Right. No. Can't find it. So, let's go in now with our gems. And I'm just going to come in with these tiny, tiny ones. Kind of the Aurora Borealis ones. And then let's do... I'm just going to be really careful because I don't want that to happen. Great big dollop of glue. So let's do tiny, tiny little bits there and there. And then we're just going to add our gems. Pick up. And I'm just adding them to the centre of where the little stars are. So let's add and add. There we go. So let's just pop these back. Like that. And then let's bring in our rose. Still needs time. So let's go in. I'm going to have to refill this in a moment. Let's fill it once I finish this video. That'll do. Now you could put a foam pad at the top here to even it out if you want to, but I'm not, because I still want that depth and dimension. So I'm going to add that into here. This is what I meant by the actual glass is smaller in definition to the rose, but it doesn't matter. Still looks lovely. That looks really, really nice, even if I do say so myself. And then I'm going to come along, but that will need foam pads to balance out the left and the right. Of course, you could be using a Crafter's Companion foam pads. I will link foam pads that I use from Sticks to in the description. So let's go in, and then last thing to do is add the sentiment, and then we're done. So let's position that into there, anchoring it down. Let me just see if I can still slide. Yeah, I can. Yeah, happy with that. Really happy with that. So yeah, you've got a lot of dimension there when it comes to the foam. So you can either do it with the foam, or this is what it looks like within your cardstock. So you've got that option, both of which I've done drop shadow. So that's light red card with a drop shadow of dark red, and then lighter green with a drop shadow of dark green. Then the foam, light red foam with a drop shadow of dark red card, and then light green foam with a drop shadow of dark green card. The sentiment and also the embossing folder, these are from Enchanting Rose, and the card's 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And then there we go. Actually, that one might be bigger. Yeah, that one's 4 1/2 by 6 1/2. I thought I knew I had 4 1/2 by 6 1/2 stuck in my head. That one. And that one, you could add your glitter glues if you want to, your glossy highlight. There's just loads that you can use. So remember, when it comes to the layering, you're not layering the flowers within the largest die cut, then the next smallest, next smallest, next smallest, up to the smallest bit. It's just about sitting down, have them all die cut, have a play, position them, always look to a pinpointed area that matches the layer underneath, and then start to build and layer. We'd recommend die cut them all in white, stick them onto black card, and then number them, so you've got a cheat sheet for you to come back to. So that one there is the one that many have been struggling when it comes to the layering process. The finished example has been flipped the other way round, but this is how layer 1 is the largest, and then layer 2 is actually potentially the smallest die cut out them all. But that's it now when it's cut into foam, that you can see here. So there we go. Eventually, third time lucky, I got that video done, thankfully. Let me know what you think. Also, let me know if you're still struggling with other ones. You know, of course, on Crafters TV, go onto YouTube. We'll be featuring them more after launch day last week of them. So you'll be able to go back time and time again. I've got them coming up, I think it's a launch party or that in a couple of weeks. They will be on before then. So always make sure you're tuning in to Crafters TV for lots of ideas, inspirations. And then, of course, I'll do what I can here on my Crafters Companion YouTube channel in my spare time. Rightio, have a lovely day, depending on what time, of course, you are watching this video. And until the next time, we'll see you again. Toodles!